If your child knows exactly how to get a reaction out of you, this video is for you. Because your reaction isn't the problem, it's the target. Hi, I'm Christine, and I help parents who are raising explosive, control-driven children learn how to stay steady without losing themselves in the process. I have lived this. I've come out the other side peaceful, grounded, and deeply connected to my child without needing their behavior to change first. And today, I'm going to show you how to change your side of the system in a way that actually makes your child feel safer and less driven to control. First, we have to talk about why this feels so personal. These behaviors feel intentional because they are effective. They work. They dysregulate us. They pull us off center. They shift the power in the room. Kids learn what gets a rise out of their parents. That doesn't make them evil. It makes them observant. As parents, we feel disrespected, provoked, cornered, sometimes humiliated, and sometimes we quietly think, this is never going to change. But here's the reframe I need you to hear. Your child is not trying to hurt you. They are trying to stabilize themselves by controlling the interaction. That shift alone changes everything. Now, let's address something uncomfortable. A lot of us have worked with professionals who have never lived inside this kind of system. They see our frustration, they see our burnout, and sometimes they assume we are causing the behavior. What they don't see is that many of us were calm, regulated, functional people before this level of intensity entered our house. For me, I didn't realize how predictable my reactions were until I slowed down enough to see the pattern. The more out of control I felt, the more I tried to enforce control, and it didn't work. We are not causing the behavior, but we are participating in the reaction loop, and that part we can change. The secret ingredient is not a better consequence. It's not a better explanation. It's adult regulation. Now, let's clarify something important. Staying calm does not mean permissive. It does not mean ignoring. It does not mean swallowing anger. Being calm means being regulated, predictable, and boring. Calm isn't a feeling, it's a posture. Let me show you what control looks like in real time. The child says, "You're so unfair. You always pick on me." The old response might be, "That's not true. We do so much for you." A regulated response, "I'm not discussing this right now." No defending, no explaining, no correcting the story, no emotional tone. When you don't take the bait, the hook stops working. Now here's why this is so hard for good parents. Many of us were raised feeling unheard. We promised ourselves we would do better, so we over-explain to our children, we over-engage, we care deeply about fairness. We want to repair immediately. We believe good parents talk things through. But trauma-exposed kids can use those values as leverage. Your empathy is not the problem, but it has to be timed. I use the analogy of fruit needing to be ripened before you pick it. If you pick it too early, it's hard, sour, unusable. Empathy during dysregulation is unripe fruit. If you try to reason, explain, or be fair in the middle of escalation, you're picking it too early, and it will not go well. In those moments, you do not need to win. You do not need to convince. You do not need to correct the narrative. You need to stay anchored. Children with early trauma cannot feel loved if they do not feel safe. And safety is created through regulation, not logic. You are not managing behavior. You are managing the room. Some behaviors require immediate intervention. I'm not minimizing safety issues. But even then, how you intervene matters more than how intense you are. Now here's what changes when you stay regulated. The behavior may still happen, but it loses intensity, it loses duration, it loses payoff, and you feel steadier. And here's the part I really want you to hear. Kids feel less powerful and safer. They do not want to need power, they need safety. There is a concept often used in Adlerian psychology. Children are excellent observers and terrible interpreters. They see everything. They make decisions with limited experience. They create strategies with immature nervous systems. And what they eventually observe is this: calm parents are much harder to control. And when control stops working, the nervous system begins looking for something else. What makes this confusing is that most mainstream parenting advice tells you to do the opposite: engage more, explain more, correct more. In the next video, I'm going to show you why traditional parenting advice often fails trauma-exposed kids and why that is not your fault. Because once you understand that, you stop blaming yourself and everything starts to feel steadier. Watch that next. And if this helped you feel even slightly more anchored, please subscribe. There are a lot of parents who need to hear this, and YouTube won't show it to them unless you tell it to.